we have 2 leadership holes to fill on platoons. Could we agree to start interviewing to fill those 2 leadership holes? Because that's going to be part of the decision making as to someone has to lead their platoon to help make the decisions under the direction of the chief as to when we hold off on a transfer and how can we communicate better so that we don't have someone coming in for 2 hours overtime when there's an ambulance 30 minutes away coming back. But we're not there. So if we have leadership on every platoon, those leaders could work with the chief.
Yeah, so what is the call out? What is the call out procedure? So like if, give me an example of how that would work. Like who calls somebody in? Who calls somebody in?
So it would be the senior guy. Sometimes it's the last ambulance out of town. The 2 crews will talk real quick. We had 2 relatively quickly calls happen today. One went to Buffalo General, and the other one was going to Batavia. So if that scenario, had I not been here, they would have checked with one another, usually. Where are you at? And we're still halfway to Buffalo. Okay, well, we're going to Batavia with this XYZ call. So then they start the call-in wheel. So there's a wheel procedure, and they just start going through that wheel. And then if nobody answers on that platoon, they go to the next platoon, and then the next platoon to the next platoon.
So if there's two ambulances out on transfers.
Yeah.
And
Well, they wouldn't be on transfers. They wouldn't both be on transfers unless
Okay.
one was like a life or death emergency. We don't do that.
Okay,
That's where we stack.
okay,
And if they call me, they call and say, hey, this is emergent. This person, we got to get them out of the ER right now. They're going to die. Then we handle it like a 911 call, and we'll call somebody in from home to cover the firehouse. And that ambulance leaves right away and goes and takes it. And then that firefighter is at the firehouse by themselves. So that's how that calling procedure works when there's out of town transports.
If someone's available, right?
If someone's available, we've had several times that we're at this summer that we just haven't had anybody available.
And who's ever the senior officer on duty is the one that calls in.
Be the officer working or the senior firefighter. Yes. Unless it's deferred. I mean, obviously there's, I'm in the back and I'm busy doing patient care and you're my driver, you're my partner. I'm going to say, hey, Debbie, can you make the phone calls? Because I'm a little busy back here.
Talk to us about the FAST team too. How does that work?
What do you want to know?
Well, how do we get to be the FAST team? I think I already know, but you can tell me. And then how does the FAST team get called and who calls them and where all can they go?
So FAST team?
Yeah.
So it's a firefighter, it's a red team, rapid intervention team. We don't go fast anymore. Albion, or Albion's fast team. That's it. We got called to the city of Lockport once. That's it. That's the only places we respond.
Who calls you? Who calls you?
It's pre-designed. The dispatch puts it out. So it's an alarm assignment.
Alarm assignment.
Mhm.
You gave me something.
Yep. Yep, you should have those.
Yes, so go over that with me.
Sure. Our alarm assignment, you want me to go over?
Well, do you want Justin to help too? I mean, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I mean, I can defer to the center battalion because that's not my mutual aid card or other departments. It's not my mutual aid card. So I'll defer to Justin for that. I can speak on ours because I wrote it.
If I could find it, I know I did. Is he doing this just for me or is anyone else interested? Okay, good. Go ahead, you can, I'll just try to find it. He gave it to me.
You said we're
There's
only,
a document that,
Oh, he doesn't know.
yeah, you can explain it back. Sure, shoot.
So, the county as a whole has a mutual aid plan. Every fire department in the county signs into the mutual aid plan. If they're not signed into the mutual aid plan, they don't receive mutual aid back. It's like a shared services agreement between the highway departments and stuff like that. Either you're a part of it or you're not. And that's within the county. It's implied by the other mutual aid plans around us that they'll also participate if they participate in their county mutual aid plan. By default, they kind of fall into our mutual aid plan. And it's part of the overall state mobilization mutual aid plan. So within that, each fire department, like there's a staffing issue everywhere. But I'm not exempt from that. If you have a working house fire, even a single story ranch house within the village, if you recall all 16 members of the Medina Fire Department, it's not going to be enough to respond to that fire with both apparatus and people. So as a result of that, there's preset determinations based on residential structure. Some facilities within the county have their own plans just for that facility that automatically generate a larger request.
Like the nursing home, hospital.
Yeah, so within the computer-aided dispatching system at dispatch, those cards are built in there. Each fire chief for that particular area responsible for that facility builds those plans out with the departments that they're going to call on. So move to the hospital, for example. So Steve looks at the stuff, looks at the requirements for Medina Hospital, says we're going to need X, Y, Z to come into that. He works with the departments around him, says, if the hospital burns, I'm going to need X, Y, and Z from your fire departments to come and assist with that fire. They all agree to that. It goes on to a running card at dispatch. Dispatch then, when Medina, something happens at Medina Hospital, and they say, hey, Medina Hospital's on fire, all of that equipment that's on that first alarm assignment gets dispatched right off the bat. Steve arrives, whoever arrives, first officer gets on scene and says, this is a lot bigger than what we thought it was. Goes to second alarm, third alarm, fourth alarm. I think most of the departments stop at fourth alarm. In the county, with the exception, I think the ambulances go up to the fifth alarm because that's so bad. So that's how that's kind of decided. It's kind of an agreement amongst the chiefs. It used to be a written agreement. Somewhere over time, it became a handshake deal. And as part of what's going on right now in the county, we're going back to written agreements because there's some discrepancies on the dispatch end of things. And amongst chiefs, there's some fire chiefs that it wasn't being relayed to them that they were on alarm assignments. So that's going back to a written agreement. So the chiefs will put it in writing. They'll all sign off on it. Go to my office. Our office will say yay or nay. And then dispatch will be updated in dispatch system.
So those run cards, this is the Medina run card. This is for a residential fire, not a commercial fire. The commercial ones are completely different. So that was the run card. Each department has their own run cards.
So do we have data on response times for mutual aid?
Yeah.
Yep.
So I can tell you, I ran some data today on mutual aid in and out of the village. The village is way down right now for this year. Typically, there's about 30 times a year on average. I've sent Debbie this information. So over a 10-year history of, over the past 10 years through 2024, Medina responded out of the village 340 times, around 340 if I remember the numbers correctly. And within responses into the village were around 320, give or take. We have to report up.
We had mutual aid inside the village of Medina, 300.
And that's a low number because some of these large fires that have happened, it's stretched so far outside of the scope of our CAD system that there's departments that don't even show up in our CAD.
So
And the other difference is that counts for one. Almost entirely, all of the Medina mutual aid is one truck responding outside of the village. So mutual aid coming into the village could sometimes be 2 or 3 pieces of apparatus. And the mutual aid from the village is usually 3 people if they're part of the vaccine, or if they're part of an engine assignment. And then when mutual aid's coming in, sometimes you're getting anywhere from 10 to 20 responders coming in as part of that mutual aid.
what would you consider more valuable? The response time or the amount of people?
The people,
That's the historic mutual aid data. That's what Justin was just referencing. He sent it to me today.
so you're getting, I mean, largely behind a lot of these fires. We see that the initial fire department that's responding has enough apparatus there It's unless like the alcohol fire, like the carpet place there, where you need a lot of ladder trucks and stuff like that. But your typical home fire, the responding department has not ever had a station.
Yeah. So,
And that's especially the case in the village, like your duty crews, 4 people. So if they're out on 2 ambulance calls already and the backfill hasn't come in, you're relying on the 2 volunteer departments that work come in and provide that protection until the guys get recalled and back in.
are there any other paid firemen in the county?
No.
Medina is the only paid fireman.
Certainly.
And you have that data on response times and utilization.
And as a total so far this year, Medina has had, I ran the numbers, I think there's been 29 hours of time that Medina spent out of the district mutually. Total hours. 29 hours.
Year to date, you said?
Which,
They've been requested 33 times, they've been canceled 11 times, the average time on scene is an hour and 21 minutes, for a total hours of 29 hours and 47 minutes.
And that's,
Medina spent on scene.
which is about 0.5% of all of our calls, correct?
So if you take away the outliers, the top 2 calls, the bottom 2 calls, about 10%, it takes you down to an average scene time of about 13 minutes and 22 hours and 7 minutes total on scene. There's 4 out of county requests and 9 of the 22 that actually, 9 of the 22 that actually went on scene, 9 of them out of the battalion. So the other 11, 13 were within the West Battalion.
What are you responding with without the ladder?
What's that?
What are you responding with without the
So-
ladder?
We'll take the pickup truck, and the engine. So we've got that extra, some of the extra gear from the ladder.
What's the status of the engine?
What do you mean?
Like maintenance wise?
Good. Came back from repairs, everything was taken care of.
so our average time on the scene is an hour and 13 minutes.
When they go mutual aid.
Driving there and back, so like the Ridgeway fire.
Or was that just on,
And not
just working on scene time?
working their on scene time.
So that's really not.
It's only gonna add 10 to 15. Depending on where the response is. I can run the numbers with the other way.
Seems a little obscure.
So we have 20 minutes left, because this meeting had to end at 6 tonight. I just need to know what other information you might want from Chief Cooley or from Justin. And I would like to know if we want to move forward with a focus team, and if you want to look into possibly, hiring some more, just so Deb can show that we're moving forward with something to try to rectify the overtime, which is a concern. So what does the board need right now? I do want to get into, I really want to update the board on the ladder truck and the fire station addition tonight, if I can. If we need to spend the rest of the time just talking about how we're going to move forward with a solution, we can do that, and I'll update everyone on Monday night at our board meeting.
I could go, it's not over either way.
Is there any more information that anyone has, burning questions that are for the gentleman here?
What's the status of the county study?
The study team is showing up. For the first onsite, and all that supplied by the fire departments, turned into them. So the first onsite will have obviously on a meeting, so they have a timeline for them. Shared Services Committee to have a kickoff meeting with them that evening of November 11th. Then they'll put out in my office follow-up meeting on the 14th. They fly up. And, find out more timelines, because at some point they're gonna be all electeds, maybe as commissioners, and maybe various fire departments, and maybe the out of county fire departments, coordinators. So I'm just at this point right now, waiting on the timeline. They want to meet with it. That's where we're at.
I am.
I'll make you a copy right after. Are there any more questions? How does the board want to move forward from here? Scott, thoughts? I can hear you thinking.
I was just shocked on a little bit of the information, you know, and seeing what we need. I think that we need to look into it and see what would be that the blend would be, real, I'm very appreciative of these 340 calls we do, but you know, I put a lot of value on our fire department here, and to me, it seemed a little dismissive to them to say that they only, almost saying that they're not even needed for mutual aid. They're only there an hour and 13. These guys are available men. I was a little offended by that statement. And if the data is true, the data is true. That's myself. You know, I like to think that our fire department bring a lot to our community, the entire county, and not just an hour and 13 minutes, and sometimes less than that. So
What did you say on the high end of that? I didn't hear that.
Like, back to that, like the mutual aid assignment thing, like Carrollton has realized the value of what Medina is doing. However, they're realizing there's times that maybe we were calling them not too soon per se, but they adjusted their on card so that we don't call them. Carrollton does not call them until they know that they have a confirmed fire. So the amount of times you're being requested into Carrollton, you will see, like, if you look at those numbers, has reduced. However, though, one fire they did go into in Carrollton, they were there for 4 hours. But they came as fast, even ended up going.
just to clarify though, and not in, you know, a bad way. And, you know, you typically at a work session, we'd sit here and work. I value what they do for our entire county immensely. And when I hear, you know, somebody dismissing that they're only there and out, it sounded to me like the statement was that, like, we don't even need you for mutual aid. You're not even there now.
No, I don't, I
But
think it was just an
I
average.
was talking, and that's just the way that came off to me. When I speak of our fire department to our county, I think of us bringing a huge resource to the entire county, not just the village
Same.
residents. And my whole issue the entire time with the fire department is that I like to think that our fire department provides a service for everyone when they are on shift 24 hours a day. But the bill stops at the line. Our guys do not stop at the line, but the people that pay for them stop at the line. You know, so that was my point in the whole thing, and, you know, trying to come up with a blend. So I don't ever want to think that, you know, that they're only valued for an hour.
So, but correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know if it was you. I had a conversation with a board member a few months ago. If we're being called out for mutual aid, you never know who's going to come. Because when you have volunteer departments, you don't know who you're going to be able to get to come. So if there's a mutual aid call in Albion and Medina gets called and they get there, but the other companies have it covered, I would hope that Medina would be the first to be released, because we're the paid fire department and it's costing money for us to be there. So if they're there for an hour and a half, that's a good thing because someone else covered it. Am I right in thinking that way?
Yeah, and the guys work together and they're like, hey, we'll try to get you guys out of here. We're getting trucks moving around, get boxed in by hose. You know, we're gonna try and get you out of here. Yeah, it's said every fire.
But no, the focus group, I think that we really need to look at it and see, like what we can do, between us and, the fire department, what we can do.
Okay,
What would be more cost effective?
okay,
More personnel, more overtime, less services, more billable. And I'll share it with anyone, that I look at the numbers myself differently from others, for the service for Ridgeway, Shelby, and the eights at the $35,000 at the 227 calls, $167 when we're manning someone at the door. Our loaded minute hour cost for our officers and what we're getting in return on this sheet here. For me, a lot of it, wear and tear on vehicles, gas, fuel, administration costs. I personally, and just going to throw it out there, I see us, and we're not in a business to make money, but we're not in a business to subsidize services for people outside of, not me, but subsidize services for a hospital that collects their own billing, or for, not our residents, not 911. I'm not saying that, but, and I don't want to speak it out loud, but if they can get, us, I don't think that we can do some of the business that we do for our townships at the price that we do them at, even though that it does bring in revenue. Though, unless somebody's going to show me the dollars difference, the dollars don't make sense to me.
And maybe we meet with Wendy and Lynette first from MedX before we go any farther, because they did, when I reached out to them that middle of July to get this report, she said it's a high return account. So let's get the definition on what the high return is. Is it a high return on,
I go as far as looking at depreciation on ambulances, maintenance on our defibrillators, stretcher maintenance, everything that we do, the wear and tear items that goes into our EMS service, and what is really beneficial for us for providing that service.
And there might be anonymous data that she has to compare that with, like they do with the mileages. And they'll do the averages, the high and the low and all that. So they might have some extra insight into these numbers that would help us maybe come up with some more questions or come up with some answers.
There's a solution here.
Yeah.
There is. We just have to see what it is and see what isn't working.
I agree.
And, the contract, I know we're contractually obligated to the towns for another year. I don't know what it looks like for the hospital. And we do not want to lose revenue. Nobody is saying that we want to lose a customer that's bringing us $600,000, but we have to really look at that cost and what that is costing us to get that 600.
Correct.
Are we hanging our hat on 600 and we're spending 1.2 to get it?
Well, I think the first spot is MedX.
Yeah.
Let's
Okay.
start there.
okay. So you're going to call MedX in
Sure.
and you're going to sit with the chief and MedX, Scott?
I will, yeah.
Okay, what else would make sense to sit with MedX? Would it be Jada? So she understands it or not?
Yeah.
Okay, so
Jada and I are the ones, on the employee side that are dealing with it, right?
Okay, is there one more board member who would like to sit with MedX to go over this with Wendy and Lynette?
Reach out to Captain Young.
Okay, Captain Young.
I
You will?
Yeah.
Okay, so Deb. So that'll be what we'll first do for a solution, sit with MedX. Scott, Chief, Jada, Captain Young, and Deb. We volunteered you, Captain Young. Okay. So next, do you want to meet with the administrators of the hospital to understand where they're coming from first, or do you want to ask someone to be part of a focus group?
I don't have enough of the information, what we do with their billing and how we handle that business, to go in there and have an educated conversation with them and where we're at right now, and fear of them being alarmed that we would, and make them look for a different service, because no one's saying that we want to
No,
lose.
No,
So
we have a hospital. in our
no
village.
changes right now. Just,
Okay, so we
Nice.
don't need information from the hospital.
Nope.
Okay. Okay, from there, what else, Chief? Where should we go?
You got the focus group set for the other stuff?
No, that's next.
The overall, I thought you had already had the one.
No, first we're gonna meet with MedX, then we're gonna have a focus group meet with,
For overtime.
and look at it, yes,
Okay.
and problem solve. So, that would be you, lucky you.
Yep.
Okay, you're gonna
Department
be on this?
Department head, board reps, union, all
Okay.
stakeholders.
Okay, we need 2 board reps for a focus group to sit on this,
I guess it'll be me.
okay? And Scott, you
Yes,
want to be
Justin,
on
is
that too? Pardon?
Can we ask Justin to say?
I don't know if we can ask him, but I don't know if you have time. You do? Okay, so Justin?
You said sure, because you said that.
Uh-huh. Okay. So is there any other board member who really wants to be a part of this focus group? Okay, then,
Reach out.
Well, we should have to.
right, I said I'll be on it. She
Oh,
wanted to be
okay.
on it.
Nope.
I'll reach,
Okay.
I'll
Okay,
reach out to the union and.
reach out to the union and get as many, members as it's productive.
Yeah, we don't want it to be
Union.
we don't want it to be too big,
Right.
so I mean, a couple and then
Okay.
board.
2 union
Justin.
members,
Yeah, I think that's a good cross section. It's a bunch of different viewpoints.
yes.
And
That's what you want.
I believe Jess and I could. Once we got the information. Schedule them, so, just understand it, bring the numbers together.
You know, I'm over here putting this in right now.
Oh,
Maybe a
yeah,
board
okay.
member should be on it instead of the mayor. Doesn't anyone want to sign up?
I guess I can do it. Thought that the mayor was gonna do, I think the mayor should be there.
I'm fine to do it. If Deb doesn't want me on it with her.
Well, I didn't take it that way. I think maybe,
I just automatically thought that she wanted to do. That's why I didn't sign up for it.
Listen, I have a full plate, so I would prefer that some board members take on some of this and bring the information back to the board and try to problem solve. But I want it to be a focus group to problem solve, not a focus group to try to diminish our services in the village. That's my concern. So. Okay, Mark, you're in.
yeah, and we'll all be resources still if there's data or information that we have that we can provide, we'll certainly do so. But as far as no doubt. Yeah, but as far as like the actual like group meetings themselves, I think you guys will kind of be at the table and then bring it back to us, right?
And honestly, if you are, depending on what this focus group is doing, if you are, I found this out at the conference I was at this week, if you are just gathering information, you can meet with more than 2 board members. If you're just getting information or if you're in a training of some sort, you're not subject to the open meeting laws. But if you're
In this case,
making
we're,
decisions based on, if you're making any sort of decision, then it has to be open meeting. So. Okay, so we have our meet with MedX, we have our focus group. What else can we do? How about the hiring? Can we talk about hiring?
before we do that real quick, I was gonna, I didn't want me and Scott to get off with too little work here. So I was thinking,
I put myself on.
I didn't. I was thinking maybe Scott and I could get together, the way he looks at some of the numbers and cost out some of the provisions that are in our existing contract. That way we're more familiar with all of the facets of the contract, because the union members are living and breathing it and we're not, like, we look at it as needed. So it'll be nice for us to kind of be able to make a breakdown. I have some preliminary work done, but we're both the employee folks and the numbers guy. So I think it would be beneficial if we costed out some of these things as written per employee, and then kind of get an idea of like kind of like what you and I did during negotiations,
That's what I was just thinking.
where we were figuring out how much each of these provisions are costing, and then like right now, the way that some of the provisions in the contract are written, they're actually like unusable. Like we have comp time written in such a way where you can only take your comp time if you are not going to generate overtime. But the way that the shifts are currently written, there is no way to take a day off without it generating overtime. So right now we actually have a benefit that we cannot afford as written. So going through each of the different facets of the contract, seeing what the financial cost is of each of them. And then as we're having these joint discussions, I'm assuming at the end of this, some sort of MOA is going to have to result from this. So knowing what the financial impacts are and what give and take needs to be, while you guys are figuring out the future portion of it, we can kind of nail down what's already been codified. Any objections?
Right. Jess and I have already met with the union to discuss the pieces that can't be met right now with current staffing. So that would be the next step. I think that's a great idea. You and Scott will do that. And then we will.
Yeah, we were not privy to that meeting, so
No.
any information you could provide would be, I don't know why
Right.
the whole board can't know about. a
You
meeting
can
that
in
you had with
executive
the
session.
union.
In executive session, you can, because it's contractual. You can't do it in a public meeting.
But I mean, not even referencing the meeting, it's just a statute in the contract. It's not currently able to, like right now, the only option is a sellback, and the sellback is rather limited. It's capped annually as well. So yeah, we can have an executive session to discuss the details of that, but just that article is one of probably several that we'll want to address when you guys are done focusing and we all get together. I'm sure that any changes that we make, like, I know I've heard at a couple different meetings, like just a straight moratorium on OT. And I don't know of a way to do that without keeping the contract. So the only method I see going forward, like we're just not going to violate union contract. So we would have to write some sort of an MOU. So or what I'm MOA, whatever the proper word
Yeah,
is.
what is it, MOU or MOA?
Understanding, agreement, I don't know.
Could be.
What is it?
I've seen both.
Either one?
Agreement, standing.
Okay, thank you. So whatever the thing is that we would have to codify at the end, we're gonna want to know what's written existing.
Yeah, was Lieutenant Cooley aware that I received a FOIA request for all of my emails?
What's that?
Did you know that I received a FOIA request
I
for
did
all
not.
of my emails?
I did not.
Well, I did. From the union.
Okay.
So you're not off to a good start with communicating. Because I feel like I've been very transparent from day one. I sit here every single meeting and tell everybody what my thoughts are and how I'm trying to help. And now my emails are, which I don't care. You're welcome to anything. You can have this whole bag over here if you want. I don't care. There's nothing in there that I've not said in a public meeting, so.
Okay, is there anything else we need to do moving forward? Because we're at 6 o'clock. Meet with MedX, focus group, Jess and Scott, run numbers. Is there anything else I'm missing? So once you run the numbers, then we're gonna decide on whether or not to hire?
Well, I,
Like,
Need to do the focus group, and kind of get ideas of what,
so we're gonna be short though, September 25th, and we have a hurt
if
person.
it, think it would hinder if you don't get an idea, if you don't want to hire somebody and you have too many, or you don't hire.
Well, we'll be down one.
Yeah.
You know, once Nick leaves, we're gonna be down. So I think that's the hiring that,
We're down one for
Um,
sure.
right. And the long-term injury right now, are still out. Kid, you know,
We have put out, I don't know if you've heard anything for transfers. Or have you heard anything we put out for transfers?
there was one a while ago, but I don't think that person's available. That was weeks and weeks ago. We'd already gone through the hiring process. We'd started the social hiring. So it was a while ago. There's nothing off anything lately. I had a couple, ask, inquire, but no resumes were received if the instructions weren't. Just-
Okay. And do we want to look at, should we we'll just wait and see if anything else comes in now that we put it out that Medina, can we advertise that Medina's hiring for lateral transfers? I know that the union put it out on their Facebook page. Can we put an advertisement in looking?
On the website, right?
We can put it on the website?
Looking for laterals?
I feel like we could, because then even if the worst case scenario is we determine that we don't need to hire, all we've done is put out information that we're
We're
likely,
looking for resumes.
yeah,
Okay,
I don't believe there'd be a problem with that.
okay.
Yeah, that's something that could probably stay up, laterals, might be times, just develop a file,
Okay.
right?
I think so. I mean, I don't think we're.
And then if there comes a need, you pull a file, you pull them out, hey, Scott, you sent a resume in 6 months ago, are you still interested? So,
And we did, we still have the list marked I sent the list back, but once again, the next people on the list are going to be new hires, so they're not going to be able to help us right away. So we'll put that on the website. Jada will get you something or Hallie to put on the website, looking for laterals. And the other question before we leave is, do we want to start interviewing for the leadership on each platoon which will hopefully save us money and have some oversight especially with our young people who will be coming on, full time. And we can decide, we've discussed internally that we have a captain position open, or we could hire 2 lieutenants and just keep 1 captain. But I do have the list. I called for the list. So do we want to start interviewing for those positions? Jess?
I'd like to wait and this focus group and see what their suggestions are. Go from there.
What kind of a timeline are we looking at for that? I guess I didn't think about that. So what is it, like the focus group, obviously we intend to return back sooner than the county-wide study. What would be I know you got to coordinate a lot of people, but what would you imagine the time frame of that would be? Because if we're waiting for the end of a focus group before we can move forward on a number of
We
items.
never have.
Right, so
We
like
never
what,
have. So the first one is probably going to be the most important. I mean, people are gathering information.
what information?
I don't know. I have no idea how a fire department works. Never was a fireman. No idea. This is all really good information. We should have had this meeting a long time ago, to be honest with you. When I first got on this board, we should have had this meeting. We should be having these meetings on a regular basis.
And I think that's what we can establish with the focus group.
And I think Deb has been trying to get this meeting, for a long period of time. And I think that's where a lot of the frustration is these meetings help to communicate with our employees of what their needs are. Each one of these board members, I know police. I don't know fire. I don't know DPW. I never worked there. That's why it's very important to communicate, that these meetings like here, this should have happened a long time ago.
But then going forward, we'll have these, if we keep this regular focus group up, and then the board members that are on there can come back and share the information and the paperwork or the electronic files.
Because if this is true,
So-
if you're just gathering information, it just shouldn't be limited to just 2 people, showing up for this meeting that are on this board to gather, if they have ideas. And this is what runs our village, is ideas from our departments and our citizens from this village of what they're expecting from our fire department, from our ambulance, and that we all show up here, for this
I would like
to be a trustee and this is the manual of being a trustee of what you can do, what you can't do, this or that, and you're limited of you know, how you gather information, because people get mad at you because you ask questions and they feel that you're out to get them. I don't think anybody here on the board has been out to get anybody. That it's basically to gather information of how to better our services, how we can provide this service at a decent rate. You know, that so we can all exist and we can keep our services. I don't think anybody in the village wants to get rid of any services. That's why they have this, you know, like our police department and our DPW. We rely on these services, but we need, as they're changing and the cost comes up, we need to learn how to do business differently. We really do. And the only ones that are really going to know how to do that are the people that are working it every day. That's my 2 cents.
Part of it is being, we have to have a cohesive board so that everyone isn't working separately, trying to gather information to take up the time of our department heads. So if we can streamline the information that we're looking for, and one person goes and gets the information and shares it with the board instead of, you know, so many people just going out on their own to try to get information that's very relevant, and we do need information.
Well, on one hand, you ask for help and then you turn around and say, you can't do that. So let's not go there.
Maybe where we're losing the thread a little bit here. Where we're losing the thread a little bit here is the difference in responsibilities between the board and the mayor. I will not say this eloquently probably, but the position of the board is financial and legislative, and the position of the mayor is operational and administrative, and then also a participant in the financial and legislative. So the mayor's responsible for the day-to-day operations and the employees, and we're responsible for the financial oversight and for the legislation and policy. So those things obviously, that nobody's doing anything they're not supposed to be doing, but the way to go about it, I think, yeah, the mayor can designate somebody to ask those questions, but if each one of us takes half an hour of Jada's time to go over how something runs in her department, and each one of us has the same questions, we end up clogging up a lot of time. I hate the idea that I couldn't just walk into any department and ask a question if I had it. But if we're being tasked with an overarching idea of something we're trying to go after, I think a focus group or an emissary of the board being designated by the mayor is totally appropriate, rather than all of us trying to get the same information from the same department heads, if we're all trying to do the same thing. If I'm on something different, if I'm trying to figure out technology and I want a copy of Integrated's contract and I want to see what it costs us to be a part of I Am Responding, if anything, that's my idea. If whatever these things, like if I'm doing something technology related and I'm pretty sure Mark's not about to go ask all those same questions because he's not on the same path, then I hope nobody would stop me from popping into a department and asking questions to try to do those things. But if
These sections work out very well. Should have had them start with. It would have cleared up a lot of stuff. I can't be voting on stuff that you headed up and this or that I don't get that information. That these sessions should be happening more frequently, and it'd be fair to the fire department, and the same thing with all the departments. And I think we've all talked about that, of having these meetings with the unions and, you know, that just stuff, so they know where we're coming from and we know where they're coming from, so that everybody's fair. Nobody's out to get in. We want to run a tight ship. You know, so that things work smooth. They're happy, we're happy, the taxpayers are happy, our townships are happy. Where we get clogged is not all of us are on the same page. That a lot of information is not being, hopefully we got different department heads now. With Chief Cooley and what we get for our chief of police, that they're all on the same page so that we can start with a clean, you know, and the communication is I thought this meeting went very well, really did. I learned a lot. Would like a copy of that.
Yes.
That just, I have no idea how that, you know, as many years, I feel kind of stupid. I don't know how that works. That, and I should know how that works. That, to make conscious decisions.
Absolutely.
That's all I got. I got a book. Sorry.
So that's it. Are we going to be able to have a very quick executive session to discuss what we had said we needed to right away? After, to discuss
I
the
don't,
potential promotion of someone in the police department?
I can't right now. We're already over.
Can anyone do, well, we'll do executive session on Monday night then. And just for the record, you should never be expected to vote on something that you don't understand.
Correct.
That's my job as mayor. If you see something on an agenda or see something that comes by you, come in. On every board meeting day, I am there all day and usually all day, many other days during the week. And I would hope that call me and come in, and I'd be more than happy to go over things with every single board member.
I think that, which we talked about before, we're sending out what current, like you've been doing. I like that.
What I've been working on.
Yeah, I
Yes.
like that. That's nice, because then how can I ask a question if I don't even know? If I know it, and I get that, I know for a while there, I wasn't getting emails where everybody else was getting. I think it was a .gov thing. And I wasn't getting all the emails that everybody else was getting. I think I'm caught up on that.
Would like board members to at least acknowledge that you've received an email, because I'll send things out and I do not hear from anyone. So I need to know, just say received, or something like that, just so if you haven't read something and we're coming up to a board meeting, that's what's taking our board meetings. We're going 4 and 5 hours at night sometimes. So please acknowledge emails when you receive them. Okay,
Message received.
that's it. Got that in. Okay, so that's it. Thank you for staying late, Mark. I appreciate it.
Can I offer here to the village again to shut these orders so that once more people can hear and see and fit into a new regime over there, and it's very hard to hear and hear or there. The board members don't speak up. We have a microphone system. We have plenty of space. I wish you would please consider that.
Is that
Is that
on
from the
behalf of